The movie kicks off with the camera rolling for the first episode of a dating reality show. We have the eligible bachelor, Marco, and a number of beautiful candidates to pick from. Luke is the brain behind Marco's lines, but Marco delivers them flawlessly. He picks a candidate, Candace, but she turns him down and runs off. It's a plot twist no one was expecting, not even Emily, the executive producer of the show. The director, Keith, cuts the camera, but Emily would have preferred the camera followed the fleeing contestant. Luke offers to go after Candace, while Emily and Keith have a row over how things should have been handled. Emily and Marie are watching the video, and Emily voices the episode can't air with Marco getting rejected, as it's bad for imagery. Luke comes in with a solution. He'd caught up with Candace, and she'd explained on camera that she got on the show to get over an ex. It didn't work, but it doesn't mean Marco is anything less than wonderful. Emily appreciates Luke's fast thinking, and although Marie complains about the resolution and sound quality of the video he got, Emily believes it's enough to work with. She fired Keith and now Luke has his position, all on the condition that Luke doesn't let her down. Bree is a reality show enthusiast and analyst who owns a big board of the dating show that Emily produces called Heart Choices. Well, she's not actually getting paid to binge watch, but if she were, reality enthusiast and analyst would fit perfectly. Her friend Haley is caught up in her addiction, entertained in her own rights, when Bree predicts correctly how contestants on the show will behave. The episode ends with a cliffhanger, Marco getting rejected by his pick, Candace. Haley has an extra dress made for her investor meeting with Katie of Creighton Metro Capital. Bree commends the outfit and apologizes for forgetting about the meeting, taking up her friend's time with reality shows. Haley promises it's fine though, as she needed a distraction to help with her nerves. Bree assures Haley that she's in her bag and everything will work out fine because she's spectacular at what she does. Haley really looks forward to performing well in the meeting because it would mean she can stop waiting tables and focus on her true passion. Bree continues to assure Haley that she is very close to her breakthrough. Haley has the meeting with Katie, and while Katie can see her talent, she seeks to find what makes Haley's brand stand out among numerous other talents, so there's a reason to take the risk and pump in money. It's a short interview that Haley doesn't provide the right answers to, and Katie has to turn her proposal down. A rejected Haley returns back to the apartment and meets party decorations and a congratulatory Bree. The look, however, on Haley's face, tells Bree everything. She doesn't see how Katie could reject investing in Haley's brand. Haley bitterly reiterates Katie's words of her yet to go above and beyond for her brand. She has no idea what Katie meant by that, but Bree affirms there'll be better offers. They toast to that, and Haley notices Bree is barely containing something she wants to say. On her request, Bree elucidates that Heart Choices will be casting mid-season replacements in the Bay Area, and she'd like to partake. Haley thinks it is a joke, but apparently it isn't. Just like what best friends do, Haley escorts Bree to the venue of the production. Haley still thinks it's a joke, but Bree insists that she's only following her friend's advice to be more sociable. She infers being on the show would be good publicity for Haley's brand, because she'll wear a good number of Haley's clothing line to look her best. Plus, she knows she'll be really good at being an entertaining contestant. At the elevator, there's a notice on the wall informing people in the building that their presence there consents to be photographed. Haley doesn't like that, and Bree suggests she can wait outside, teasing that it would be less fun. Haley meets Luke while she's still reading the notice and innocently voices her take on the show. She believes love can't be staged, and Bree's decision to be on the show is questionable. Luke reveals he's part of the production crew and invites her to the 7th floor to witness the action. Luke and Marie are running auditions, and so far it's been a flop. Marie is irritated, but Luke needs her to be more patient, as he believes the right candidate is around the corner. He's only trying to meet Emily's high expectations and deliver flawlessly. It might take a while though, as it's been back-to-back bizarre women showing up for the spot. Haley meets Bree in the waiting room, and Bree appreciates that Haley came. Haley preps Bree with an interview question on why she wants to be with Marco, and with some fine-tuning, Bree gives an impressive answer, reminding Haley that she's made for this. Haley can see that now, but feels Bree can channel her prowess into a show where the grand prize is something less obnoxious. Bree maintains she's on the right track, and she has Haley's brand in mind with her decision. It would be a smart way to market some of her friend's clothes. Haley appreciates the gesture, but feels she can figure out something else concerning publicity. Bree admits she's not entering the show solely for her friend's sake. She has a plan to be first runner-up, so she'll be cast in the following season as the eligible bachelorette. Heart of Choices will be her ticket to stardom, which she wants over romance. Plus, she likes it when she's the one picking who gets her heart. Luke calls the attention of Bree to step in for her auditioning. On a whim, he invites Haley as well. In there, he gives Bree the spot without an audition, attributing his decision to strong gut feeling. Haley notices the contract file is bulky, and Luke explains it's because she's been cast as well. He likes the idea of best friends on the show, a refreshing idea to try out. Haley feels she's not cut out for it because she doesn't even like the show. But for Luke, it's more of a reason why she'd be perfect for the show. A skeptic that other skeptics can relate to, potentially increasing the demographic of the show's audience. Such a passionate dude about his work. Haley declines the offer, and Luke mentions the deal is for both of them, or neither of them. On Bree's request, he gives the friends privacy to discuss. Bree reiterates the show is a good business move for Haley's brand, and reminds her that CMC wanted someone who's willing to go to lengths for the success of their brand. Haley wearily starts to buy into the idea, and Luke returns, expectant of a conclusion. The pair arrive at a resort in Hawaii, and Bree is on cloud 9 while Haley would rather be anywhere else. Marie comes to drill them about the content of their contracts, which includes an NDA and court charges should they default. They also have no access to the internet or social media for the period of their stay, and are mandated to keep their relationship with Marco on camera, not off. Their every move is being filmed, and they're warned to stay away from the fountains. Finally, they are to keep to their call sheets, which tells them where and when to be at a place. Bree is to be at the lobby for a B-roll while Haley is scheduled for an interview. Bree sees on the call sheet, the show will have 3 girls eliminated that night, while 3 will get a heart from Marco. Haley's plan is to win the audience with one of her evening gowns, as the dress code is formal attire. Still not interested in everything else concerning the show, she plans to be part of the 3 girls eliminated, and knows she can pull that off. The girls are unaware of the hidden camera that has captured their conversation. Marie drives Haley in a golf cart to the set for the interview, consisting of get-to-know-the-contestant type of questions. On seeing that Luke will be the one handling the interview, Haley asks if someone else can run her questions. She's not a fan of Luke's manipulation skills, but Marie states it's all part of reality TV. Meanwhile, Marco finds Bree practicing yoga with blindfolds, which is unusual. She explains that yoga keeps distractions at bay and helps toughen the pose, strengthening the core, because one is less balanced when their sense of sight is obscured. Marco doesn't see what's so tough about it, so Bree challenges him to try it out. He takes off his shirt and uses it as a blindfold, following Bree's instruction, and soon realizing Bree was right. He thanks her for the enlightenment, expressing he's open to doing more yoga, as it helps him relieve stress before the elimination rounds. Bree realizes she's talking to Marco, and flees the scene to Marco's amusement. Back to Haley's interview, Luke asks some questions and they manage to throw in a little conversation in the mix, prompting laughter in some moments. A crew member calls Luke's attention, which is needed urgently by Emily, even though he's still interviewing Haley. Luke and Emily watch the footage of Bree and Haley's conversation about Haley's plan to get eliminated. Emily feels Haley brings character to the table, and doesn't want to see that go to waste by a quick elimination. Luke has an idea up his sleeve, to make sure Haley isn't going anywhere soon. Bree catches up with Haley and updates her on meeting Marco, and possibly breaking a rule on their contract. She tells Haley she ran away once she realized who she was talking to, but the whole playing hard to get is a nice angle, with every other girl gushing over Marco. Haley reminds Bree that she's not playing to win, and Bree agrees, but she has to say that Marco is more attractive in person, and fun to be around. Luke comes in with a schedule change. Both girls are needed at the patio, with the other contestants for wine tasting. The dress code is now poolside casual. The formal attire has now been moved to the finale, to Haley's disappointment. Haley and Bree go back to their lodge to look for what to wear, and Haley is still lamenting about the change of schedule. Bree reasons they'll have to be more careful, as the camera outside must have ratted them out. The girl really knows the ins and outs of the reality show biz. Bree pacifies Haley that the audience will have more time to marinate her presence and her brand, and Haley wonders what to wear for her first impression. Bree suggests one of her sundresses, but Haley has her sewing kit, and knows she can do better than some boring sundress. Haley and Bree show up all dolled up for the wine tasting. Haley shows up in an interesting look that gives off a toga princess. They're late with the 4 other contestants already settled in. The 4 others don't look friendly or approachable, but Haley and Bree suck it up, willing to be brave. Bree goes to talk to a blonde named Vanessa, while Haley tries to be friendly with a woman named Luann. Luann acts like she can bite, and a threatened Haley takes her business in the opposite direction, trying to strike conversation with 2 other women both named Skylar. That's also a total flop, so she joins Bree and Vanessa. Vanessa had previously told Bree she had the grand prize under her belt, because she and Marco had built a chemistry that couldn't be faked. In Haley's presence, she reiterates her eyes are on Marco, and everything else is just noise, then she walks away. Bree explains to a confused Haley that Vanessa is playing the clip game. She makes each time on camera worthy of attention and drama, so people remember her, and she, in return, stays on the show. Luke hands Marco his earpiece, but Luke wants Marco to improvise more with his lines. This makes Marco nervous because the whole concept of the show is already stressful, and he's used to just repeating whatever Luke tells him while on camera. Luke relays. Things are slowly changing with him as the new director, and Marco shouldn't be so worried about what to say. He should just communicate more from the heart with the contestants, and Luke knows he'll be great at it. Camera rolls, and Marco will get to meet the new contestants. First off is Bree, who is a risk assessor. Marco is all genuine smiles on seeing her, and they get talking, but stylishly referencing their earlier encounter without giving away how they've met before. Turns out there was no lip-syncing involved. Every word comes out of Marco's heart, and both Luke and Marie are impressed. Luke stating that Marco might not need the earpiece anymore. Haley pops out of nowhere, catching Luke's statement about the earpiece. Luke annotates the earpiece Marco wears just to make sure everything runs smoothly for the camera. All the more reason for Haley to find the whole dating show ridiculous. She asks how she'd know the difference between Marco being fed his lines and speaking on his own accord. Luke replies there's no way to figure it out, and Marie cuts the chit-chat, hurrying Haley to get on set. Luke feeds Marco his lines for his meeting with Haley. He tells Marco to ask about her dress and how long it took to make it. He admits she looks stunning, and Haley mentions she had to improvise. She drops a line about being inspired by Marco to look good, but her gaze turns to the camera, letting Luke know that she knows he's currently feeding Marco his lines. Emily notices Haley's moves and reaches out to Marie about what she wants to be done. Marie is arranging the hearts with the names of the contestants that will be staying. Luke comes over and sees Haley's name is not among them. Marie agrees to turn a blind eye and let Luke make a tweak. Marie must be really confident about Emily not firing her for the stunt she's about to pull. The elimination round starts, and the first two hearts go out to Vanessa and Bree. Marco calls out Luann next, and even the contestants are sure it's because she's been called to stay. Marco goes on about her work as an astronomer and how he has taught her so much, including that their stars don't align. She won't be getting a heart from him. This shocks Luann, who returns back to her position by Bree and Haley. Marco calls Haley next and offers her a heart, stating that she's a rather curious one, and it intrigues him enough to want to get to know who the real Haley is. Haley delivers that she's willing to accept the heart, but on the condition that there's trust and no funny moves. He can't be the only one asking the questions. This references Haley's earlier interview with Luke, where he'd mentioned he'd be asking the questions, not her. She spares nervous glances at the camera as she talks, letting Luke know she's still referring to him and not Marco. Marco replies they have a deal, and Haley receives her heart. Haley and Bree are soaking their feet in the pool. Bree gushes over receiving a heart and making it through her first heart ceremony with her best friend. Ever the keen eye, she notices that Haley's card looks different from hers. Bree's name was spelled out in a different font from Haley's. Haley glances at Luke at the opposite side of the pool, about to get chewed out by Emily, and mentions to Bree she has a solid idea about why the fonts are different. Emily confronts Luke about the name change, and Luke excuses that he made the right call to keep the audience engaged. Emily wonders out loud if it's still a thing of right call or selfish desires. Luke asks her to trust his judgment, and she warns that if he plays favorites again, he'll lose his new job as quickly as it was given. Tough crowd, Luke. Haley lets Bree know in the privacy of their room about Marco being fed his lines. For her, it's easy to tell by paying close attention. Bree is startled by the news because something felt authentic about her meet and greet with Marco. So Haley clarifies she heard Luke saying Marco spoke for himself when meeting Bree. Haley feels there were several times Luke was using Marco to say stuff to her. Bree decides they'll need to be more alert then, and wants to go over their plans for success. Should the coming dinner date be a group date, the plan is to let Vanessa lead it to her own demise. Should it be a one-on-one? They have to make Marco work for their attention. The tricky scenario is if it were a double date. Haley points out there's a flaw in their plan. If Vanessa gets eliminated, then either of them will have to be the winner, which is technically not according to plan. Bree admits she doesn't have a blueprint for that scenario, but they'll cross that bridge when they get there, most importantly, together. The girls hear movements and find a heart card addressed to Haley, asking her to meet up to discuss the garden. The messenger didn't leave their name or signature and asked Haley to either come alone or not at all. Bree thinks Haley shouldn't fall for the bait, as it's obviously a trap, but Haley will go because she's a curious cat. Haley meets the anonymous messenger in the garden. It's Vanessa, and she has an offer. She wants Haley to partner with her and send ratings through the roof, commending Haley's brave move from earlier during the elimination round. She believes Haley can do so much better than the good girl route and suggests a way she can make herself more interesting. She preps Haley to give it a go by encouraging her to throw wine in her face. Haley doesn't want to do it, but with a little pushing, she hits Vanessa in the chest rather than the face. Vanessa shows her how it's done, without hesitation, letting Haley know her offer won't last forever. As for the secrecy of their conversation, the garden has fountains that scramble the audio, and that's why the contestants are asked to stay away from them. The show went with a group date, excluding Vanessa. Bree and Haley walk an open field, with Bree updated on Vanessa's sneaky moves. Haley infers Vanessa must see Bree as a threat and wants to use Haley to take her down. As for the group date without Vanessa, it's clear to the girls that the show is trying to set them up for some bestie drama and engagement. Cliché at best. The date is supposed to be centered around horse riding, but while Bree loves horse riding, Haley is allergic to horses. Marie reports back to Luke with the situation, and he proposes he continues his interview with Haley while Bree runs the date with Marco. Marie teases him for his obvious likeness to Haley, and Luke tries to deny it. On the set, Marie rallies out instructions on how the scene should go. Marco and Bree are on their horses, and Bree mentions the whole ordeal is quite intense. Marco expresses he's used to it, as he's always had someone tell him what to do since his days as an athlete. Bree proposes he changes that if he wants to. Marco also admits he's never ridden a horse, and Bree asks him to trust her. He smiles as an answer, and she leads the way, galloping across the fields, with Marco closely behind. It's all against Marie's call, and she's not pleased about it. Meanwhile, Luke keeps to his words, and Haley gets to ask some of the questions. She asks what Luke's ideal woman is like, and he divulges it's all part of the gut feeling. When he's met a woman with the criteria that works, he'll know. He hands over the baton to Haley to answer the same question, and she does. She notices he's staring at her intently and wonders if she said something wrong, but he promises she didn't, and her answer is something he can work with. She smiles, knowing he means both figuratively and literally. She wants to know when the real interview starts though, but Luke informs her they've just concluded it. He thanks her for the indirect confrontation at the elimination ceremony, as it reminded him why he got into filmmaking. He majored in the documentary field in school, but he somehow turned to the dark side and can say the same has happened to Haley. Bree and Marco have some opening up of their own. They've galloped far beyond camera's reach, and Marco expresses he got on the show because he didn't want people to forget him after his football career came to an unexpected end. Turns out, Bree also watches sports and can ascertain that Marco was an icon in football that won't be easily forgotten. So far, he can say she has too much substance to be on such a shallow show. Before she can answer, she notices the weather is having the right confluence for a rainbow, but she can't spot one yet. Marco suggests they might just find it when they stop looking for it. He also suggests they wait out in the open field for a bit longer, and Bree is game, resting her head on his shoulder. The best friends are reunited in their lodge, and Bree confides in Haley that she had a great time with Marco, and she's starting to have unexpected feelings for him, which was not part of the plan. Haley takes her confession lightly, until Bree insists she really needs help navigating the turn of events. Haley admits she's taken a proper interest in Luke, so they're both in the same boat. They devise they'll stay on top of their game and not get distracted, finding a balance between what they feel and how to navigate it while still on the show. They get a knock at the door, and Haley receives a heart from Marco, inviting her on a date. They tell themselves it's all part of the show's plot, and they should keep a level head. The date is a romantic beach date with a walk, collecting seashells, and lunch. The camera rolls, and Marco picks a seashell for Haley. She mentions she can use it to make jewelry, and Marco is surprised she makes jewelry as well. She replies that she dabbles, and it reminds him of Bree, saying something similar. He says the friends are very much alike in mannerisms, and Haley explains it's because they go a long way back. They had a hiccup, though, over a boy in 7th grade, and then vowed they'd never let a boy ruin their friendship. Marco wants to know if he's an exception, but Haley assures he's not. Marie complains that the best friends aren't giving the kind of drama that was expected of them, and Emily won't be thrilled about it. Marco gets stung by a jellyfish and has to get rushed back to medics. The boat can only take 3 occupants though, so Haley and Luke offer to wait behind. Marco gets his sting treated, and he expresses grievances for Emily wanting him back on his feet, so soon as it feels it's more for the show than his own health. Emily promises that's not the case, and offers that his activities with Vanessa can be cancelled so he can take a breather. He likes the sound of that, but changes his mind when Emily goes further to cancel his date with Bree. Emily also clarifies that the boat could have accommodated 5 people, not 3, and Marie should go fetch Haley and Luke. Haley shows up in a new dress for the picnic. She and Luke have set up by the shore while they wait for Marie to come get them. Luke notices her dress and wants to know how she got into designing. She gives him her backstory, mentioning she's yet to fully accomplish her goals with her lack of investors and inability to launch her line. Luke also has a backstory, a long one that Haley is willing to listen to concerning how he's also been holding back from his full potential. Marco is on his paint and sip date with Vanessa, but his mind is miles away. Vanessa spins the narrative that he's just stressed from the jellyfish accident and tries to keep engagement regardless. Emily, from her stance with Marie, agrees that Marco isn't in his element. He's fallen for Bree, and such an ending wouldn't interest viewers. The crew has to look for a way to turn things back in their favor. Luke tells Haley about a documentary he's had in mind. She likes the concept of it and believes he should go for it. He hadn't expected to work for Heart Choices for 5 years, and counting, with his initial intention to quit after the first season. Haley says he at least has a promotion, and he can see that being good credentials for when he's finally ready to take a bigger risk. Marco got his own golf cart and decided to use it to drive Bree to the golf venue earlier than the camera crew. When they get there, the sprinklers come on and a rainbow appears. Moved, Bree kisses him for his effort and the two get giddy with emotions. Back on the beach, Haley is curious about which of the contestants will get sent home. She knows Luke pulls the strings to a great extent, so she keeps insisting that he tells her. She hopes she gets eliminated, with Bree developing actual feelings for Marco. She wouldn't want to get pitted against her friend just to promote her brand, and is willing to find another route to market herself. While Luke understands, he voices he doesn't want Haley to leave. The two gaze at themselves, and a kiss is most definitely in tow, until Marie just has to interrupt the moment. One of the crew members has something important to bring to Emily's attention. Marie left Haley and Luke on the beach on purpose. Haley and Bree discuss the turn of events and how they expect it to end. To think that their original plan can now be discarded. Emily exposes Bree's original plan to Marco with tape evidence. In preparation for the ceremony, Marco turns down the earpiece, and Luke hands him his heart. One is for Vanessa, and the other is for Bree. The elimination ceremony starts, and Marco asks Bree to step forward. He lets her know that she's been a good influence on him, and has pushed him to be more than just a robot being told what to do. He's enjoyed her company, and the better person he's become in her hands, so he's heard about her plans that he's just discovered. Everyone holds their breath and cues the dramatic music. Marco wants to know if Bree only wants to use him. Marco wants a yes or no answer, and Bree has no choice but to answer yes. This influences Marco to bid Bree farewell, and everything goes out of the window from there. Bree storms out. Haley follows, accusing Luke of being involved in the dirty game. Luke stops the camera from rolling and goes after Haley. Vanessa falls into the pool, and Emily tries to authorize some sense of control. Luke pleads he had no idea that was going to happen, and Bree has reasons to believe him, inferring that their conversation in the waiting room must have been recorded. Luke offers to talk to Marco, but the skeptic and irritation for the show in Haley kicks in, and she says something that hurts Luke. He apologizes for the drama and lets them be. Haley wants to leave with Bree, but Emily steps in and warns that doing so will be a breach of her contract and will cost Luke his job. With no other option, she decides to endure the last run of the season. Bree voices they've lost both Marco and Luke, and Haley gets an idea to give the show a test of their own medicine. Vanessa receives a not-so-anonymous message and meets Haley at the garden to finalize their alliance. As a sign of trust, Haley gives Vanessa an outfit she'd been saving for herself. Haley puts the rest of her plan in motion, involving Marie and the man in charge of the stable. During the ceremony, Vanessa shows up in a dress from Haley's brand, and Haley shows up as an astronaut. Marco picks Vanessa to continue his journey with, choosing her for her consistency in liking him, but she rejects him on the account that he belongs to someone else, and she deserves to have mutual feelings with the guy she likes. Haley gives Marco a horse to go find Bree with, and Luke sees Marie as the mastermind behind the plot twist. He expresses she deserves his position more than he does, and she entertains the idea of having it. Marco finds Bree waiting for him, and they reconcile with a kiss, a rainbow framing the scene. Haley and Luke meet up with Haley still fighting off the allergies. Thankfully, the astronaut suit helped contain the worst of it. As for getting Vanessa on board after giving Marco up, Haley proposed the idea of the blonde being the next Queen of Hearts while wearing custom dresses from Silver Halo. Luke is impressed that Haley found a way to go above and beyond for her brand. Luke quits his job, noting Haley as his inspiration. He voices he wants to be closer to her and has planned to move to the Bay Area to kick off his documentary series. Cue the love song, and Haley leans in for Luke to close the gap with a long-awaited kiss.